One question I saw, Pam, was a version of something I asked you, but have you talked to any other Jan 6 defendants? Maybe they're not being vocal like you. Maybe they're not as, courageous and willing to step forward in the public eye, but have you talked to other Jan 6 defendants who have seen the light and understand that they were duped?
No, none. I have tried to reach out to several before I even, started going against Trump and trying to help them. But no, they call me a traitor and a paid FBI agent. Some think I work for the FBI, but no, they won't talk to me. They've all blocked me.
All right, Pam, here's a really important one from a very special friend of both of ours, talking to you, Stephanie. Do you think, Pam, that there will be another January 6th, and who would call for it, and what would it look like?
You're far right. They're very dangerous. I know for 2 years with Ammon Bundy how they think. Yes, there will be, and it will be worse. I'm hoping some J6 people are listening, because what do you want to see on national television? A bunch of people shot down, because that's what's going to happen. That's a nightmare for me. Nobody wants to, the thought of that frightens everybody. But yes, the way it's going, unfortunately, you don't come up against our government, you're going to regret it. But they're going to try something. Oh yeah, because Trump is making it worse. That's the problem.
Trump himself is going to, right, Pam? I mean, Trump himself, this is what people don't understand. We're in another election year with him as a candidate. For God's sakes, he's going to try this again, isn't he?
He is. He is. He's going to try it again. And they're ready. They're locked and loaded. Now they're going to the border, to stop the border, people coming in. There's a big old thing about that going on. It's like, what are you guys doing? You don't put the law in your own hands. And that's what they did on January 6th. They want to put the law in their own hand. They think that they can override the government because Trump's going to come in and get rid of this government, right? And that sets a precedence for that kind of thinking. That Project 2025, where we're going to get rid of the DOJ and all the FBI. Give me a break. Thank God we have the FBI that's watching over this. I'm sure they are, but it's frightening. Yeah, it's a setup. It definitely, I hope I'm wrong on this. And I don't always like to hope I'm wrong, but yeah, I do see a horrible standoff going to happen. I do.
Yeah. Even more case. We haven't
the way
covered
they
this so
think-
much on this show, but why he needs to be disqualified from the ballot.
He
This is not a
needs to
disservice
be
to
locked
his support.
up. Lock
Yes.
him up and shut his mouth. Put a gag order on him, because you are going to see something terrible happen if we don't stop him. And I don't like saying it like that, but that's my belief.
No, we need to, speaking the truth is what we need. We need to hear it. And I thank you, Pam. We had a question, the factual question, I think we answered earlier, but we'll go over it again. You were, was it trespassing that you were charged with and pled guilty to?
Picketing and parading. It's the lowest charge you can get. It's a petty charge.
Picketing and parading. Okay. Another question I see various versions of is, do you have family members still in the MAGA cult? Part one, and part two, how do you try to reach out to them? How do you try to wake them up?
I don't want to discuss anything about my family, if that's okay.
No problem. No problem. Generally speaking, outside of your family, do you try to help other people who are in the cult on a personal level, other than public interviews like this one? And what do you say to them?
Yes, actually, I have several friends because of a 12-step program I go to. Well, we talk about things, and it's been really good. There's one lady, in fact, she was going to be working for the campaign, and she's backing off and she's coming around. But you gotta build this alliance with people. They got to be able to trust you and have an open mind, and you don't find that today. It's very difficult. I wouldn't really worry about the J6ers and the MAGA trying to talk to them. They are not going to hear you right now. They're not. I've worked with alcoholics and addicts. Until somebody's ready, they're not going to hear you. You're not going to get through to them. They're in a terrible denial stage right now. but you work with the people, your family and your friends that are Democrat, and encourage them to vote. Don't say my vote don't count. Work with those people right now, because MAGA's too far gone. I'm sorry, they're too far gone. Until somebody personally wants to really turn around and have an open mind and listen to me, they're not going to. So I don't even waste my time anymore.
Well, you weren't too far gone. I wasn't too far gone. And there are people out there that may be hearing this right now who just needed that final nudge, and they're hearing it, and there's something. I mean, that's what it was for me. It was a gradual awakening, and then it was just a complete 180, because I realized it had all been a lie and I had been used. And my God, I realized I couldn't do anything but dedicate myself to educating people about what was going on. Pam, another question, and I want to you mentioned voting, so we're going to get back to that question about who Pam's voting for. But before I do that, this is a question: what specific propaganda scares MAGA the most, so we can educate with facts? What was it? What was the most egregious, gaslighting propaganda that you experienced out there? Where did it come from?
You mean the propaganda coming from the?
Well, I mean,
the Democrats?
Politicians, news sources, Trump himself. I mean, where was the source of propaganda that was most gaslighting for you?
Yeah, it was taking away our liberties. It started with the vaccinations and the wearing the mask. That's what got that all started. That they
Was
were
it
going to
Fox
take
News
away.
that you were watching, or was it like
Oh
Facebook?
yeah,
Or
Fox News, yeah, and Gateway Pundit, and yeah, all those news stations. Yeah. Well, now I laugh about it, but God,
all
it's
right.
sad
Well,
that
yeah.
yeah.
I think it's completely it's criminal what right-wing media has done to this country in the name
It
of
is
patriotism, in the name of faith
absolutely.
and Christianity. Absolutely criminal. Pam, who will you vote for in 2020? Are you still a Republican? Could you vote for a Republican ever again?
Yeah, I'm still a Republican. I would vote for Biden right now because he's standing up for a democracy. Actually, under his administration, things are much better. We have the border problem, that's a given. And I don't agree with all of his policies, but you know, he cares for the people. That's what I like. All the people. And for everyone, he believes in the Constitution to keep the rights for the women and the LGBT community. I like that. I just like a lot of things that he's doing. I just like him. I've listened to a lot of his talks. And yeah, so there's no Republican to vote for. They all will be put in office as a dictator under that Project 2025. So you don't vote for a Republican.
No,
Stay Republican, but don't
no.
vote for one in
Yeah, in
office.
my opinion, Pam, these people now, especially the Nikki Haley's of the world, who try to walk this tightrope of, tepid endorsement slash very minimal criticism of Trump, they are the most dangerous because they know better. They know better. They are what is standing between us and getting Donald Trump the hell out of our lives forever, because they fail to condemn him outright. And that in itself is completely disqualifying of them.
Yeah. Well, I'm noticing people are starting to talk about the issues. That's more important than the personalities and how bad a person is, because that's showing. How could you be voting for Trump when he didn't do anything when he was in office anyway? What did he do? Did he stop the deep state that you believe there's a
No.
deep state?
Did he build the wall with Mexico's
Did he
money?
build the
No.
wall?
Did
Come
he
on.
do infrastructure every infrastructure week? Nope. Biden did that. Nope. Didn't do anything.
Yeah, I know.
I love going into overtime a little bit to get all of our viewers' questions answered. So thanks everybody for sticking around. Here's another one. Pam, how were Trump's tactics in brainwashing you different from Eamon Bundy's, or were they similar?
Oh no, they're the same.
The same.
Because they build you up to believe they love this country. And what they're doing is saving the Constitution for your own good. And so they build you up to really believe that the Democrats are the evil ones and want to take away your liberties. you get this vision that the Democrats are Hitler. So it's like, it scares you. And then when I was out there and I'm talking to people with 2 PhDs telling me the same thing, especially when the election, I said, where's the evidence that the election was stolen? They said, Pam, don't listen to the media. They've been lying and stealing this election forever. Really, forever. So,
Absolutely. There's one question here. I might take the answer to this. Hey, everybody live. I want you to know I'm trying to get to all of them, but there's a long list here. So my apologies if we don't get them to every single one. But somebody asked, I have a sister who was in a cult before 45 and she fell hard for the 45 cult. How do you reach someone prone to fall for cults? I want to give my version of the answer to this, Pam, and then I'll let you take it. I never fell for a cult before, but I have been conned before. I've been conned by people. I'm actually writing about this in my book right now, who have hurt me and my family very, very much. And I saw this as a pattern in my life in certain instances. And with Donald Trump, it was like, this is going to be the last con in my life. I finally realized this pattern of abuse, of deceit, of manipulation. And I said, thus far and no farther. So for me, it wasn't necessarily cult followings repeated, but being conned repeatedly. And it finally, the experience that I had on the Trump campaign was the end of it for me. How do you think we can get to people who are prone to either following a cult or just being conned generally?
well, I'm not a cult expert. I really have relied on Steve Hansen, reading his book. It's been very helpful. However, as an alcohol and drug counselor, I'd have family members similar questions. How do I help my husband or my son or my daughter that's drinking and using drugs? And I said, you don't. You're going to have to help yourself and learn about the illness and learn about narcissism, learn what you're up against, and take care of you. Uh, so I think it just takes time and patience with your family and find out, ask those questions. What did you see in Trump that was so attractive at the time? Um, but I can't get into that because I'm not an expert. But all I can tell you is that we need an Al-Anon. Al-Anon's for the family member of Alcoholics Anonymous, but we need an Al-Anon for people that have family members that are in the cult of Trump, talking and helping each other, because it's tough. You lose family members and it's very difficult. It's very painful. I never
Yeah,
saw this, and
absolutely. There's a lot of questions in the chat about, how we help family and friends. And I know you said you wanted to keep your family off limits, so we'll definitely respect that. But if I could just echo what you're saying about taking care of number one, taking care of yourself. You're not responsible for other people's salvation. And I think that we can live the truth in our own lives, that light is very powerful. And it will wake people up, even if it's not instantly, even if it's not immediately. When you're confronting them with these arguments, you're planting seeds, and you living the truth has a very healthy effect on your environment. That's why we're shining this light on you today, Pam, and sharing your story, because I think it is so vital to hear and to understand.
And it would take longer to explain things about how to help with the family, not in an interview like this right now, but they can contact me on Twitter. I'll talk to them.
Is that your people? Some people have asked, how can we help Pam? I'm sure she'd love you to follow her. Is that your Twitter handle down there, or is it something different?
Oh, at Pam Hemphill 79.
Okay, so that actually, for everybody looking at watching us live and seeing the YouTube, that is not Pam's Twitter handle there below her name. It's at Pam Hemphill 79. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. All right, Pam. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I really hope I really enjoyed the opportunity to amplify your voice and your story. Thank you for shining that light of truth that you have come to. I think you're really going to have an effect on waking others up that need to see the light.
Yeah, and have faith. I think more and more people are going to start to come out. They will. I have faith in the people. that they'll wake up.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah.
Wonderful to end on that positive note, Pam. Thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you, everybody, for staying with us into overtime, participating in our live chat. It's so great to have this live interactive experience with you and get your questions answered.